All right. We are now officially recording. Let's get to the start of this. All right, everyone. Again, welcome. Thank you for being here. If you were also at our town hall this morning, then thank you for being here twice in one day. If you were not able to join us this morning at the town hall, it was recorded, and we will be sharing that recording via our Facebook page, and we'll shoot it out via email. Highly recommend you taking some time to watch our Women of Color Town Hall this morning, where our community came together to shine a light on women of color and stand in solidarity as a community for racial justice and against police brutality. We had and incorporated your feedback from our last Chat and Chew. We had a female police officer join our Chat and Chew this morning. She identifies as a Black and Latina woman from the Bronx who has been born and raised in New York, was a New York City public school student, went to city and state New York colleges, and is currently a police officer. And she was able to speak to our girls about her role in protecting them and in taking a stand for what's right. And we were able to honor the lives of many Black women who have been, lives have been lost to senseless violence, and also had a moment for our women of color on our staff to share words of affirmation with our students. And it was just a really powerful moment of community. We are excited to have more of those events in the future as we think about our planning for next year. But if you, again, were not able to join us, I really recommend you watch that recording. I'll be sharing it as soon as I get it. So just like that, we're gonna start. It's our last Chat and Chew of remote learning. Who the heck knew that we'd be here on June 10th, but I'm glad to be here with you all as we wrap up our remote learning year together. So this is our agenda. This will follow a similar flow to most of our Chat and Chews. We will have a community builder and grade level updates. I will share some academic update information for the end of the year. We'll talk a little about school culture, and then we'll have some time for Q&A. Just a reminder of our Zoom norms. I am recording the session so that I can share it with families that aren't able to join us. If you need to ask a question during the session, you can use the raise a hand function just so that we don't try to all talk at the same time. It helps us communicate most effectively. You can also use the chat feature. Our staff members will be responding to questions throughout the Chat and Chew. And then whatever we can't respond to in the chat during the talk, we will have a session at the end for Q&A. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Lopez. And Ms. Lopez, if you need your screen, let me know.
I do not. So if you are of Spanish-speaking descent and you have older Spanish-speaking people in your families, and they have ever said to you to Google something, they do not say Google, they say Googlealo. It is one of my mom's favorite words. That and fist of all instead of first of all. But I wanted to bring this to you as a entertaining piece. Miss Natalie, I'm just gonna mute you, or Miss Strong, if you could just mute Miss Natalie, please. Thank you, appreciate it, sister. So just, let me backtrack. This is something that the kids do all of the time, whether you are new or old, or they are new to you. They Google everyone. They just love typing our names in Google and finding out what they're gonna see about us. So I'm going to challenge you in the next minute to open my OK Google just activated. So I'm gonna challenge you to either type in your name or your scholar's name to Google it, and tell us the first thing that comes up in the chat feed. If like 2 people want to I'll come off. I'll tell you what comes up for me, and then 2 more people can come off while people are searching it. You do not have to do first and last name, just your first name. So it could either be your first name or your scholar's first name. So when I type in Karina in the past, this like really inappropriate lady to come up. But now there's like this young gamer YouTube girl named Karina who comes up. So I'm really happy that she has now become so popular that she filtered out that other lady, which means like the youth is winning. So when when I Google Karina, that's what comes up. I will say I typed in Dakota. I was like typing in random names. I typed in Dakota. I typed in Jessica. This really like famous artist comes up when I type in Jessica. I'm not sure if it's like a K-pop singer, but I typed in Dakota. Some historical like Wikipedia came up. Some interesting stuff comes up. Miss Walker is an actress. Miss Colgan's an actress.
No, the whole movie. Don't get confused. Not an actress, whole movie.
Look at that. See, I knew it was a K-pop person.
Miss Colbert, that's a sign. It says singer.
I do sing.
That is true. That is true, Miss Colbert. I think you just looked up yourself.
No, I didn't. It was a lady named Belinda Hale.
The fear of the biblical meaning came up as she was named after. Look at that. Adriana, she's someone everyone needs in their life. I agree. Adriana is someone everyone needs in their life. British TV show about the Queen of England came up. See? So I encourage you to click further. And we just do what the kids do and Google each other because you will be surprised the things that come up. Obviously, if you add a last name in there, it gets a little bit more specific. So that's how kids have found us. And they just have a lot of time. So they like go through Google pages until they find something. Like, and they'll show us pictures and be like, "This, I found this on you," or "I found this article," or "I found this." But it also helps teach them about like internet safety and posting. Whatever they post eventually will come around. So they just need to be mindful of who they are on the internet. Thank you, Ms. Strong.
Absolutely. Also, a must for anyone going into the teaching profession. You learn very early on to Google yourself so that you know what kind of things are going to pop up, because kids will find it. Even if it's not you, but someone that shares your name, and then all of a sudden they think they know your whole life story. I had a college website for a project that I did in my first year teaching. Kids found it and they were like, "We found you on the internet." And I was like, "Ah!" And yes, they found my college group project. So there's that. It's since gone. I can't find it anymore. So good to know. All right. So we are going to move into 5th grade highlights. And Miss Natalie has joined us. She's going to pop in after Miss Colgan shares some highlights, because she's got some specific incredible stuff to share about what the girls are doing in theater.
In 5th grade, we had Unity meeting today. Our core value award winners were Asia for scholarship, Madison for merit, Malia for responsibility, and Zanaya for sisterhood. But what was really, really exciting is our 100% work submission, which means for all content areas across the board for the last 2 weeks, we had a ton of students submit every single assignment on time. From EJS, we had Ashley, Casimira, Mariah, Jaslyn, Madison, Zadia, and Solange. In MA, we had Heidi, Isabella, Madison, Mia, Alyssa, Jaylene, Laylene, and Samora. And in MO, we had Leanna, Catherine, Tawana, London, Leah, and Alex. I will point out, though, Solange won our most improved because she went from something like 44% submission all the way to 100% submission, which was incredibly exciting for everybody. Solange was incredibly proud of herself because she really sat down and got all that work done and made up all her missing work. So, way to go, Solange.
Miss Natalie, do you want to come off and talk a little about what the 5th graders are putting together in theater? Also, Victoria from 8th grade's on the call. I told her you were bragging today too. So
thank you.
Go ahead.
Yes. So 5th grade, just all my 5th grade parents, you have really incredible, I mean, I cannot believe they're rising 6th graders at this point. It's just incredible. It's been such a phenomenal year with them, and they are truly amazing, and it's truly been an honor to be able to teach them, both in the building and virtually. They are a theatrical bunch, and so my class is a perfect fit for them. We have had a few scholars that I am a producer as well, so I have taught them how to be go-getters and producers themselves. So we have a few scholars that have decided to produce their own original work as well as write their own original plays. And we are so excited to be able to share with you all. Tomorrow we will be having sort of a more private but yet recorded presentation, which I will be sending out to families. And then we will be having our final sort of like theater presentation on Friday during their class time. So please look out for that. We're going to be on Zoom. I will be sending the kids out our Zoom classroom link, and we cannot wait for you all to be there to support. And 7th and 8th grade, this year is a film class for me. So my older kids do film. They produce their own films and they create their own film work. And this year they made, in virtual world, they made their own films based on being quarantined. So it's under the branch called Quarantine Diaries. These are all original films that were made by your teenagers, and they learned the documentary filmmaking genre. So that will be part of their class on Friday at 11 a.m. And we will have a private film screening, and I will also be sending you guys out the link for that as well. So all good things. Amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, Miss Natalie. Believe it or not, she toned it down a little for this announcement because when we were checking in earlier today, she was even more hype about the work that they're doing. So if that is any indication about how incredible the work is going to be when we share it, just
I just want to say this. These 5th graders, I often say I'm confused because sometimes I feel like they're 32. They have held me accountable. They send me calendar invites. If I am 30 seconds late for a conference, I am the one I would profusely apologize regardless, but it's like more profusely. And they always tell me, it is okay that you've made a mistake this time, but the next time we just ask that you don't make any mistakes. So they have told me they've served me quite a few times. But they have, I mean, I'm beyond amazed by them. I cannot wait to show you all. That's all. Thank you.
thanks, Miss Natalie. We appreciate you being here. Turning it over to Miss Colbert for 6th grade.
All right, so we have a few shout outs. We want to shout out Hattie, Zanaya, Esther, Nyla, Heaven, and Jada because they've been really showing some merit and scholarship as history scholars. And then we want to shout out Laylene, Sichow, and Estrella for really pushing themselves in math and all the other subjects, to be quite honest, in these past 2 weeks. And in case you missed it, our core value winners are listed here. Micaiah for scholarship, Zanaya for merit, Astria for responsibility, and Anissa for sisterhood. And that was from this morning.
Thanks, Ms. Colbert. One of my favorite moments was Anissa popping off mute when she heard her name and graciously accepting her award. I'm so surprised and shocked. She had her, you know, Anissa, she's an old soul. It was a great moment to hear. I call her grandma, and she loves it because she's a little bit of a grandma in the best way possible. Ms. Walker, turn it over to you.
Thanks. Oh no, it looks like my last shout out cut off a little bit. That's okay. I just have some shout outs from a bunch of different 7th grade teachers, bunch of different content areas. Miss Briones wanted to shout out Anaya Sarai for her work in math. She said that Anaya has been really diligent and responsible about her classwork and going to office hours, and that she's always so polite and friendly with her peers and her adults. Miss Ramsamy wanted to shout out Joanna in science. She said that she is constantly coming to office hours to talk through her exit tickets. If she ever loses a point, she's there like, why did I lose this point? What do I need to fix? She's always pushing herself to improve and really just taking accountability for her own learning, showing a lot of maturity, never waiting for someone else to do that work for her. I wanted, Miss Chen wanted to shout out Amaya for just like really turning it around in math class, ending the year super strong. I know it can be so easy to like feel like summer is so close, which it is, but Amaya's like not dropped the ball at all in these last couple weeks of learning. I wanted to shout out Jane Cruz for being so proactive about getting her history work done, holding herself accountable, even though she can't always be in class the whole time, making it work. And I know this last one for Anna and Sarah was also a mouth shout out. They are in class every day on time. And even though they're both kind of quiet, they show a ton of merit and are just brilliant mathematicians who are doing an amazing job, silent but deadly on those math problems.
Thanks, Ms. Walker. Where's the photo? Hold on, I'm gonna stop sharing and reshare so I can see if I can fix this photo glitch. Aha. Fixed. Okay, hold on. Now I gotta get back to Zoom. No, not share. Good gracious. Done. Present. There we go. I think I just have to click it again. All right, Miss McCullough, I'm going to turn it over to you if you're on here to talk about this exciting highlight.
Yes, so I would like to announce our valedictorian and salutatorian for 8th grade. Our valedictorian is Angelique Pereira, and our salutatorian is Sarai Williams. Both of these girls have worked very hard. I want to say when I was doing the GPA averages, there were some really close ones. It came down to like actually like a second of a decimal or third of a decimal, but it represents how hard these two girls have worked. I must say though, but looking at all of the GPA from both campuses, the girls at the Lower East Side have just been holding it down and literally dominated the top 7 spots for GPA averages overall out of 120 students, out of 147 students. And just doing an amazing job, and I'm so proud of them, and they will be speaking at the graduation and the ceremony, so make sure you shout them out whenever you see them.
So exciting. So exciting. It was even, it was the sweetest moment to Miss McCullough when she made the announcement, got it on video. And then of course, both her and the student and parents start crying on the video together. Miss McCall is gonna cry right now thinking about it. It was super special moment. Really, really proud. Really, really proud of these girls. Really, really sad to see them go. Whew, 8th grade. All right. Shifting gears a little to academic updates. I will be sharing this slide deck as I always do in a summary email, but you all have access to it because this is the same slide deck that I put in the previous emails to you. So summer homework resources have been compiled for students and families. They're linked in the slide deck. They're also posted on Google Classrooms for your scholars to be able to access there. These summer homework resources are optional. So we wanted to provide resources for families if you need them, if you want them to be able to keep your scholars engaged over the summer. But as opposed to previous years where summer homework is mandatory, given the circumstances and the challenges with tech and remote learning, we are not making it mandatory that students submit work back to us in the fall. So there are resources linked even for our rising 9th graders so that those families have work for their scholars to do to keep their skills sharp over summer. And these will, again, they'll be posted in Google Classroom. They already are. They'll be emailed to you in the slide deck. And again, just like that, somehow it is the final week of remote classes. Somehow it seems like just yesterday and also a million years ago when we began this journey together. So as a reminder, June 12th, this Friday, is the last day for scholars to submit work for trimester 3. So all work from this week and any late assignments need to be submitted to their teachers via Google Classroom by end of day Friday, June 12th. End of day Friday, June 12th. Not Saturday, not Sunday, Friday, June 12th. So please make sure, and I know teachers and POCs have been messaging to students and families over the last few weeks so that this should not be a surprise, but please make sure that your scholar gets anything that she needs to turn in submitted by Friday, end of day. Next week, the week of the 15th, teachers are going to be finalizing grades. They're going to continue probably to return and push work back out to students next week as they finalize their grade books and grade the rest of the work from this week. But anything that needs to be returned to scholars will be by June 19th. On June 19th, Google Classrooms are not going to be accessible any longer to students. And so if you need to access the summer homework resources, you can either reference the email I will send, check out the Girls Prep Facebook page. We will also share those with the network office to be posted on the public prep page. But the most immediate ways to access them will be the email that I send and then on our Girls Prep Facebook page. Just a note that while our classes and office hours and small groups end Friday, counseling and related services, so if your scholar gets speech therapy or occupational therapy, those groups are going to continue through June 19th, and they will have makeup sessions the last week, which would the last week for staff, which is the week of June 22nd. So again, counseling and related services will continue through June 19th, but all live classes, small groups, and office hours will end this Friday, June 12th. End of year assessments. So we talked about these and they have come to an end. Our scholars did take an end of year assessment in math and in ELA so that we could get a snapshot of where they are as a reminder, this will not impact their trimester 3 grade. It is not used as a tool for pass-fail. It is simply a tool for us as teachers to see a snapshot of where students are, to help us not only make some specific recommendations for some families in terms of summer work that might be helpful, but also to help us plan for fall. These will be returned to scholars via Google Classroom, so scholars will be able to see their scores there. You as families will also be able to see their scores on Google Classroom. And if you have a specific question about your scholar's score, you can reach out directly to your scholar's ELA and math teachers to have a conversation. But again, these are largely informative for us as teachers. And if there is anything specific that a teacher recommends your scholar work on as a result of this assessment, that the teacher will note that both in the report card comments that you'll receive and or will reach out directly with specific resources for you to look into. Report cards for trimester 3 are going to go out via PowerSchool. So this is different from how we shared our trimester 2 report cards, which was via an individual Canvo message to families. For trimester 3, we are posting the report cards in the PowerSchool portal. We are not sending them as individual messages. Your point of contact is going to be reaching out, if they haven't already, to you in the upcoming week to make sure that you have your PowerSchool portal login information and are able to access the report card when it is released. Teachers will be finalizing the grades and comments by the end of next week, but the PowerSchool portal will be open for you to see the report card on June 25th. So that's the Thursday before what's technically the last day for staff, which is the 26th. Again, the PowerSchool portal is currently closed so that teachers can be entering grades and comments. It will reopen on June 25th so that you can log in and see your scholar's report card. You will see on their report card that they are going to receive pass, high pass, or did not meet for each subject and for their attendance. So the report card is going to look slightly different than it has in the past. It's not going to say A, B, C, D. It is going to include pass, high pass, or did not meet for each subject and for their attendance based on the trimester 3 grading policy. What will also be included on the report card are their trimester 1 and 2 grades, just so that you have them there for reference. Again, as a reminder, because of the shift in our grading policy in trimester 3, we are not issuing final cumulative grades as we would when we'd average the 3 trimesters. We are not doing that. Trimester 1 and 2 are kind of frozen in time, but the grades for those will be on the report card for your reference, along with their trimester 3 grades. You will also see that promotion will be indicated on the report card. So there will be a section that indicates that your scholar has been promoted to the next grade level. That's something that's different from what's on our traditional report cards, but we specifically want to make sure that that's very clear for families so that there is not any undue stress or anxiety around that going into summer break. And on that note, we've talked a lot about another year of learning and our approach to making those decisions. Our approach is always a holistic approach. We don't look at any one factor in isolation to determine whether or not a student has passed their grade. we do believe and have seen that another year of learning can be really beneficial for some scholars in mastering content and getting them ready for success in high school and beyond. Given the nature of remote learning and the fact that there's a possibility that we have some sort of remote learning that takes place next year with the kind of nature of COVID and our planning, we are not going to be recommending another year of learning for scholars because we cannot say with certainty right now that next year we can guarantee that we can provide a different experience for scholars the way that we can when it's a typical school year and we're in the building. However, we still want to make sure that we're in conversation with families about where your scholar is and if there are significant gaps that we're concerned about. And so what will be happening is grade teams are coming together to say, here are the students that, given different circumstances, we really feel would benefit from another year of learning. And here are the supports that we want to put in place next year, both in the event that we're learning remotely and when we're in the building. We will also be including in that support plan how we're going to be measuring progress along the way so that we can tell you as families by December, here's what we're seeing. We may then have the conversation that the scholar may need an additional year of learning in the 21-22 school year. Because if we are in the same place and we aren't seeing those gaps close, that might be, again, a conversation that we have in December. However, again, because we cannot say with certainty that next year will not have the same inconsistencies that this year did, we do not feel that it is generally in the best interest of scholars this year to have an additional year of learning in their grade. So next steps will be, if your scholar is not on track to meet guidelines for trimester 3, and if the grade team is concerned about their progress, members of the school leadership team will be reaching out to you directly to have a conversation as a family and to put together, to review the support plan that the grade team creates for your scholar. So know that those conversations will be happening in the last 2 weeks of school. If that is something that your scholar's teachers feel would be beneficial. Core value awards for staff. Before we go into our culture updates, just because that was a lot of information, I want to take a quick second to make sure there are no questions in the chat that staff members were unable to answer about academic updates. Staff, if there were any questions that you want to come off mute and surface that I can address now, I'll be happy to do that before we go into our culture updates. Or families, if you want to put a question in the chat now about any of the academic updates, we can go ahead and address some of those before we move on. All right, I'm not hearing any staff members come off mute. I'm not seeing anything new pop up in the chat, so I'm going to keep the conversation moving. And there's two things that have definitely come up in the chat just now that I know my grade team leaders will be able to address. So I'll let you all take care of that and we'll keep moving forward. Core value awards for staff. So you all should have received an email from Ms. Lopez earlier this week. We are super excited that for the first time ever, we are asking families to help us with our core value awards for staff. Typically, we have students and staff nominate each other or nominate staff members, but we want to hear your voice in this process too. So huge thank you to all of you who immediately responded and have already nominated a staff member. If you haven't already, we would really appreciate that you take just a couple minutes to nominate a staff member you feel has demonstrated one of our core values, scholarship, merit, sisterhood, or responsibility, over the course of trimester 3. We will award staff their polos. Now, just like with students, we can't actually get them their polos yet. So it'll be a symbolic ceremony until we can get the shirts. But we'll also be able to share with staff the notes, even staff who don't win the core value polos. We'll be able to share your notes of nomination in our end of year staff meeting. And I can't tell you how serious this is for our community. As someone who received one as a teacher, I know how great it feels to be recognized. And so we really appreciate you taking some time to nominate a staff member for a core value polo so that we can celebrate. And if you hear any weird noises in the background, I'm sorry, my dog's behind me going crazy with a stuffed hot dog toy, and we're gonna keep it moving. All right, I am going to turn this over to Ms. Lopez to talk to us a little bit about our upcoming advisory celebrations.
Great. So you'll see that like some of the grades are empty. Teachers don't have to have this to me right now per se, but some people already got in there and picked dates and times. That's why you'll see like 6 grades is completed. But not to worry, like dates and times will come from your advisors. This is really an opportunity, like our students have been together by themselves, not by themselves, in smaller groups with different teachers that may not have been their advisor throughout the year, and they may have been, they've been having different experiences, right? Like we've all had different experiences, but ultimately we wanted to bring together the camaraderie of your original namesakes. And the pride that there is in that. I know when I announced it this morning in Unity Meeting 5th and 6th grade, like in the chat feed, we're like writing, well, in my head, they were screaming MO and MA. They were actually really excited to get together as a large group. So advisors will be running this activity with their advisors because it's 12 of them and I can't do 12 advisories plus 4 grades plus all the other things. So I'm spreading the love, but I'll try to be present at each one of them. They're actually creating awards for each individual student. So something like superlatives, every single student will be getting an award. So it's very, very important that when you get the calendar invite and the information for this date, so like 6th grade, you have it in front of you right now. Make sure that your student is there because everyone is getting an award and we really wanna make sure that they're present when they're getting the celebration. And the awards are completely original. I have no idea what Ms. Walker or anyone has planned. I just know that they're really excited about it. So that is our advisory celebration, which is completely separate from our end of year award celebration. You can go to the next slide and we can talk about end of year awards. So if you are on the Facebook page, you have seen this picture already. If you are in the email, you should have gotten a calendar invite for your grade specific celebration from me plus an email. So every year we have grade-wide celebrations, end of year award ceremonies. We have done them in the past all together, but sometimes people just like to be in their grade and like, again, just the camaraderie that comes from being with your friends in your circle is really, really special. So the last 2 years I've done the awards, I do them individual by grade, which you can imagine is a ton of work, but they truly deserve to be awarded and to have that celebratory moment. So 5th, 6th, and 7th grade will be having their end of year ceremony on June 24th at different times. I have to be present for all of them, so this will not be happening at the same time, which is great for any parent that has a child in 2 different grades, because you will be able to attend both. So from 10 to 11 will be 5th grade, 6th grade is from 11 to 12. We'll give everyone, myself included, a brain break from the computer from 12 to 1, and then we'll come back at 1 o'clock for our students who might be sleeping in 7th grade. You know, you get a little closer to the teenage years and you kind of want to sleep more. So I gave them the later time of 1 o'clock. So we'll be meeting together at this Zoom link. The Zoom was created on Mr. Weeds' account. So if you would like your family member to join, I ask that you please do not share this link with anyone that you do not know or post it anywhere public. Our Facebook page is private, so we do not have anyone that is not a parent or a staff member on there. And likewise, if you would like a family member, like I said, they can join, but just being very mindful, like if you post it on your own personal social media, you're like, come see my baby. Just be mindful that we have to keep our own children safe and our own circle safe. So there is the information on 5th and 6th and 7th grade end of year award ceremonies, but there is one more grade, the best grade, because they're my friends. So 8th grade end of year award ceremonies and celebrations. You should have already gotten the invite, the calendar invite to senior prom, which is this Friday. We just booked our DJ. We just created our program and what that's gonna look like. You would think that hosting a party online for teenagers would be easy. It is not. It was actually like, what do we do with them? An hour? We have to do something for an hour? Like, how do we keep them entertained? It's a lot harder than just in person and just watching them dance off to the side. Absolutely. So it is bring your own snacks. So encourage your children to either bring dinner, bring a snack, water and juice like we would have at our prom. They are allowed to either dress up or dress casual. I told them if they dress casual and in pajamas, they can make their pajamas very cute. I will be making my best effort to, I know some parents are getting their kids' hair done, makeup done, all that good stuff. Whatever we need to do to make them feel special, I am all here for it. I highly encourage them to be embarrassed, because this is a time that, one parent told me, this is not her decision, this is mine, it's my graduation. And it's ours, it's all of our graduation. So just making sure we celebrate them as best as we can, but also supporting them if they just feel comfortable in their Tuesday pajamas. We just want them there, we want them present, and we want to celebrate together. This also gives an opportunity for those of us that may not be party animals to show up to a space where we don't have to dance, or we don't have to necessarily come off mute, but we can still see our friends and see our peers and enjoy that time. So you have gotten the Zoom link in an email, you have gotten it in the calendar invite. I will be sending it Friday around 2 or 3, just as a reminder, so it's at the top of your inbox to students and staff. I will put in a plug. When we're at prom in person, we don't let parents go all the way in. They come, they drop them off, they take a picture at the door, and then they go. And we let the students be students. There are adult chaperones there, and there will be adult chaperones there online. So no worries in that capacity. So we do ask that you let the students celebrate themselves and have a good time. I know there may be some parents that maybe want to be there the whole time, but just being mindful of that. And then the other thing is in terms of virtual graduation. I know we put out the date already. I do not have the link to the Zoom personally, so I'm waiting to be invited too. Ms. Kyle, I don't know where my invitation is, but I think you lost it. So I'm just waiting for my invite to the to the graduation, but just please keep this date in your calendar, June 25th at 10 a.m. We will be meeting and having our joint graduation ceremony, as well as breaking off and having our campus-based ceremony, which is where we give the Comeback Kid Award, the Core Value Plaque, awards for each content area. So we have a jam-packed agenda, and we want everyone there.
And then immediately post-graduation, we will virtually send those 8th grade families all the love with a champagne toast, even though there won't be any real champagne, for all the work that you've put in. Well, some people might have some Miss McCollumite after graduation, but she might be on her own. But we will send all of you that, because you've deserved it. This is as much your graduation as it is the girls. We appreciate all that you've done to partner with us over the last 3 or 4 years that you've been, or 12 years, as it seems, for some of our girls that have been there since kindergarten. But we know that this is a big deal for you all, and we appreciate so much that you've trusted us with your girls through the highs and the lows, through the good times and the bad times. And we have enjoyed our time with those nuggets. So before we close out, well, we'll finish the slide deck and then we'll hang on for a few minutes to give some time for families to do this if you haven't already. But before we go into summer, it's really important to us that we've got accurate information for our families so that we can be in constant and steady communication with you regarding any updates. Also, I know that we've asked you for feedback 1,000 times in 1,000 different Google Forms over remote learning, and you've indulged us and we appreciate it. But this is one final ask for feedback as well so that we can have your voice in our planning for the fall. And so again, it's kind of twofold. One, we really want to make sure that if our families are traveling over the summer, if we need to get up with you for anything, that we've got a way to do it and we've got accurate information. And also, we know that for some families, the circumstances of COVID have changed your plans for the next year. Some people are moving out of state, traveling indefinitely. And so if any of those things have changed or shifted on your end, that would impact your scholar being with us in the fall. We also just want to get that information again so that we can stay in regular communication and we can plan as best we can for our return in August. So the survey is going to close on June 19th, but again, I am going to ask Ms. Lopez, can you put the link to the survey in the chat so that families can also pull it up during this call and take some time to complete it if you haven't already. And on that note, just some updates in terms of planning for the fall. We are going to continue to send family updates to you bi-weekly, either in an email or a video message. Since I've become like basically a YouTube star over remote learning, I've got a really big fan base nowadays. I actually got a strange dislike on one of my chat and choose videos on YouTube. If anybody knows anything about it, let me know so that I can understand that feedback. But I will continue to record messages and send you summary or bi-weekly emails. We'll also have at least one chat and chew over summer just so we can see each other and I can share updates in person. But I know there's still a lot of anxiety just about so many things being still a little uncertain with the fall. And I want to make sure that as soon as we have information that impacts that, we can share it with you. Also, just an update, Ms. Lopez and Ms. Ruiz and I were able to access the building this week to check on the facility and just kind of get a state of things. We checked lockers. We know there's still some stuff in there. We saw some shoes. We did take out what we believe may have been a sandwich at one point. It no longer looked like a sandwich. Luckily, it was in a sealed Ziploc bag, which was great. But we know there's still a lot of stuff that scholars need to get, and we are putting together a plan, but we are still waiting on confirmation from both the city DOE and guidance from our state authorizers just on the plan for being able to get you those belongings. But please know they're safe. Classrooms were locked. The floors are waxed, which is exciting. Our custodians were able to do that. They are magicians, somehow moved all the furniture in and back, or out and back in. So just letting you know that as soon as we have more information, we will let you know that information. But right now, the building is still standing and was a bittersweet reminder of that last day. When you see March 13th still written on a teacher's board, It was definitely a bittersweet moment. I don't think Miss Lopez or I have ever been more happy to get to work. We were like racing each other there. Like, are you there? Am I there? Who's there? Who's in the building? It would have only been better if your kids were there too. With that, we've got 5 minutes left just for some open Q&A. Again, I would ask, if you have not yet done the family survey, that you spend these 5 minutes kind of doing that while we're on the call, just so we can get that out of the way, and again, get that critical info. But with that, I can now see everybody. If you want to use the raise a hand function, if you want to come off mute and surface any questions, we'll be happy to address them.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm filling out the form, the family form, and one of the questions is for reopening in the fall. If the option of remote learning was there, would you send a child to school or keep them home? What if it depends on your circumstances as far as work, as your job is concerned? Because right now, even though New York City is opening up, my job is like, no, we are not going back until September, but they may change it come September. So all summer, I will still be working from home. So in September, if they decide that we still will be working from home, I guess it'll be remote learning for Dakota still.
Yeah.
But if the school is open, would there be an option for her to go on some days or stay home on some days, or depending on what she would like to do?
Yeah, so to answer the first part, we know that like for a lot of families, it's kind of hard to say one way or the other because of all the circumstances you just mentioned. And so I'd say answer as best you can, imagining that, you know, your circumstances might change, but that if there was a preference and you were able to be home with her, just answer as best you can on what your preference would be. What we're trying to identify is, again, as I shared earlier, we're trying to create plans A through J of, depending on how many kids we can have in the building, what might the schedule look like. And for some families who say, I absolutely 100% need them in the building as soon as possible, we're trying to gauge how many of our families are in that situation, so that we can identify where the, you know, greatest needs are going to be. But there is going to be most likely some form of blended learning where it might look like A week, B week, where like students are remote some weeks, in the building others. It might look like A days and B days. Again, it'll kind of just depend on what we find out, but there will most likely be some combination of blended learning. But if there are families that are like, actually, if I can just, like, if remote learning is an option, I could just keep her the whole time, that'll help us gauge, again, like, for example, if Dakota stayed with you, but there was another 7th grade family that was like, I actually really need her to be in the building, that might help us give individualized plans for people. Ms. Giles, what mistake did I make? I see it was probably a mistake. I probably made a lot of them. I may have missed the earlier question. Over my head, over my head. Thank you, Ms. McCullough. Sometimes she has to tell me.
She was just responding to someone disliking your Facebook, YouTube thing.
Exactly. It had to be a mistake. It's the only explanation I could come up with too. Thank you for reaffirming that.
Hi. How's it going?
Hi, good. How are you, Miss Sally? We can hear you.
Okay. My question is for graduation. Will we be able to share the Zoom link? Because I have a lot of family members that, want to see Jasmine graduate.
I can double check, but I believe we're going to be fine on the cap size for Zoom. So I believe you can share out, but I'm going to reach out to PPN to clarify, just to double check. But I think we should be okay. I think they're more than understanding that we're probably going to have a little bit more people watching than we would have actually present in person. So I think they might have increased the size of the Zoom capacity. So you should be fine. I saw a parent just type in the chat about gowns. Unfortunately, the company's not sending out gowns. I can share a few outside resources that parents have shared with me that they're using, that they're ordering gowns from. We try to get gowns for the girls, but the company's not sending it to us.
It's a very angry dog at me right now, but that's what you get when you lick my leg. She got to say hello. Ms. McCullough, do you happen to know when NYC Public High Schools will be reaching out to 9th graders?
They should have reached out to you already, especially the school that I know Janai is going to. I'm going to double check your My Schools account to see if you have an email address associated with them. If you don't have your email address in My Schools, that is how they're first going to reach out to you. And then just kind of double check your My Schools account to make sure they also have the correct mailing address. I definitely can log in and look for you, and then I can shoot you a text message and just tell me if it's correct or not. But I can also reach out to the school to make sure that they have her correct contact information. In terms of the gowns have always been purple, like a royal purple, and then the sashes are like yellow, kind of gold.
Awesome. And I'm seeing in the chat that Miss Wright called her daughter's school and they let her know when they would be reaching out to new students.
Yeah, for the most part, they've been calling or emailing or sending a letter home, but they're going off of your My Schools information. So just double checking that information is up to date and you should be fine.
Okay, well, with that, everyone, I appreciate, and if you are an 8th grade parent, check out the chat. Ms. Wright put a link in there for cap and gown stuff, which is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So with that, it is 6:03. I know that the time flies when you're having fun, but we are going to end our time together today. If anybody has additional questions that you weren't able to surface, please feel free to shoot me an email or any of your grade team leaders or Ms. Lopez so that we can follow up with you and get you the information that you need. But we're wishing you all a safe evening and a restful evening. Please take care of yourselves. I know you're burning the candle at both ends right now with work and homeschool and parenting and all of the things. So take care of yourselves and let us know if there's anything that we can do for you. And have a great night, everyone. Good to see you. Night, everyone.